Cool. It'll take 1 second to upload to YouTube.
Paul,
Okay.
you missed some good matches at the Turtle Man Classic on Friday.
No, listen. I haven't even been able to catch up yet, but I heard it was pretty good, right?
Yeah, I got to watch them all live there and help out a little bit. It was a fun event.
You will have to give me the recap.
Oh man. Well, did you know the matches, the card, or?
I know most of the ones that were originally set up before I kind of like faded into football season.
Mm-hmm. Where'd my camera go?
We are live now. Paul Linn, welcome to the channel.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you back. Last time we talked was right before you went on to arm wrestle Arson
Yeah,
in Chicago, and I asked you, I was like, "Are you gonna kill this guy?" And of course, you were humble and everything, but you ended up killing him. Talk, tell us a little bit about that match.
I mean, I don't think I killed anybody. He's very game and he's good. He made me work a ton in the setup. As far as figuring out where he's going, he's very good at the misdirection aspect of arm wrestling. So
Yeah,
I mean, he's a real deal. Like, there's zero chance that he is not at the top very soon.
for sure. Where what were you feeling in the setup in round one and round two? Was he trying a bunch of different techniques like after he lost the first round?
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know for sure because I talked to him about it, but I feel like his game plan was not intentionally, but trying to time the startup different angles. So I think he intended on using false starts to figure out where his best lane was going to be.
Yeah,
Um, for me, ultimately, as when you're at the table and you're just trying to feel and predict, is tricky knowing when a guy has a really good fast outside move and a really good fast inside move and they want to dead load. It becomes tricky with predicting where they're going to go,
yeah,
which is why, I was asking my corner to, let me know toe placement, like lead foot placement. If I know
uh-huh.
where his toes facing, I know where he's going, but I can't see that at the table. So he did a great job of setting up neutral or setting up for what felt like an outside move and coming in. Um, so yeah, I mean, he definitely kept me on my toes. I think there was a little bit of strength difference on the day. Ideally, in a perfect world, if we're gonna pull in a hook, I want it to be a nice tight strapped hook, you know.
Yeah,
But given the circumstances, it was a better option to just dive in there with him when he was going there.
yeah, for sure. Do you load a lot? Like, if he was not loading at all, were you loading a bunch, or were you matching it and just staying neutral as well?
No, I was loading.
You
I
are.
was loading. Now, I every match is different. I'll dead load depending on the opponent and where I want to go, whether it be inside or outside. Depending on the opponent, I'll dead load if I get it. Um, but if I feel like there's a concern with speed and his timing, then I'll default to load regardless.
Yeah,
So it depends on, like, especially with inside pulling. Um, there people neglect the nuance of it, being in a 50-50 hook, being in someone else's hook, or being in your hook.
yeah,
And a lot of that is timing and setup, strap placement, all that good stuff. So, like, if you're evenly matched with a guy that wants to go inside, you want to force him to be at least slightly in your hook
yeah,
with a little bit of control. And people don't, a lot of times in matches, people don't see the nuance of that. Like, when there's back pressure already applied in a hook, one person is chasing. So the controlling of who's chasing and who's absorbing, is, I think, is very pivotal. And a lot of times you just see what looks like a wrist to wrist hook, and you're like, oh, they're just going to grind. But ultimately, usually, someone has some slight advantage.
Yeah. And for some of the newer arm wrestlers out there, or just those arm wrestlers trying to get better, what's your advice for loading versus dead loading? Would you say you want to load if you're the slower guy or the stronger guy and you're trying to stop a hit, and then you'd want to dead load when you're trying to hit? Is that how you'd simplify it?
No.
No.
Yeah, honestly, no. So like, for me, the way I break it down, like you have inside outside pulling
Yeah.
at the at the most fundamental level. If you are a speed and timing guy, like if that is your gig, then regardless of going inside or outside, you probably want a dead load. You probably want a ref grip and a dead load. If speed is a concern in any case, whether it be that you're a fast guy, but that guy might be faster. So like a good example is the people in the United States that are feared for speed. And in the past, like Daniel Mosher is a great example. Like his move is so effective. And it's not completely inside or outside, but a lot of it's based on timing. So in a match like that, to me, maybe I can match the timing if I get lucky once or twice. But the safer route is to load and control the hit. Yeah. So back pressure, you got side pressure load, you got back pressure load. Back pressure load, as long as your pronation can hold up, will slow a match down in any case. But then there's also the misdirection of where are you going with your back pressure. So like Krasimir is a great example of someone who has great back pressure load in a hook. He wants you to come to him. Come to my hook here, and he forces that against anybody who can't match that back pressure and pronation. So to me, it's really situational. And when you're talking about tournament arm wrestling, there's two ways to approach that. If you're going to come in and you believe that you're the strongest person in that tournament, then dead load fast hit is the most efficient way to arm wrestle through the tournament. If you have any concern about anyone, then the safe thing to do is to load back pressure. When you load side, that's when things become tricky, because you can leave components susceptible when you load hard side. So for me, in some matches, I'll load no side, all back, but usually there is a sliding scale of the proportion that I'm loading side to back, regardless.
Yeah.
So for me, side pressure load, if we know the match is going inside, can be very important. If you can control that center of table and be immovable, the chances of you turning in your hook with your shoulder on top is better. But if you're concerned with an outside puller who is going to hit outside, sometimes it's better to load back pressure and turn the hook on the defensive side if you're comfortable being here.
Yeah.
But it takes a level of confidence in knowing I just have to stop this an inch above the pin line.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's super interesting. I think a lot of people, especially like people new to the sport, will look at like a hook war, for instance, and be like, oh, this is just strength on strength. But there's so much technical stuff going on in the background that is super interesting.
Yes, so it's a very neglected thing. A lot of people, because especially super heavyweight arm wrestling is such an outside driven, that category is so outside driven.
Yeah.
And that's what gets consumed the most by the public. And I started my career for the first 5 years being a purely post top roller. And when I started hook pulling, I realized how much, I don't want to say more technical, but at least equivalently technical inside pulling really is. And the different, you see hook matches go back and forth. When guys are closely matched, all it really takes is a slight adjustment a lot of times. If that match is going to stop at any point, there's always an adjustment that can be made.
That's super cool. And what's next for you? Do you have any matches coming up, or are you just training and building up?
I am in what is my arm wrestling off season,
Yeah.
which is football season. So training is continuing, but it is not at the capacity that I would like it to be.
Yeah.
You know, this for me, I'm usually about a 3 hour in the gym guy between double days, 3 days a week, and usually an hour, 2 hour, or hour and a half, 2 hours on the days that I don't double. So I'm average maybe 2.5 hours of arm wrestling specific and general strength training. That peels back with football season. It becomes 5 days a week, 45 minutes to an hour. So it's like maintenance phase for me.
Got it. That makes sense. Do you have anyone that you're eyeing when you get out of your off season, or you're just gonna let the matchmaking happen?
I let it happen.
Yeah.
I don't, you know, I feel like if you put the work in and you accept every match, good things will happen.
Yeah.
So East versus West under new ownership, I think they have some ideas for some matches for me. We'll see. I'll be available for the December card. Atlantic City's in my backyard. So
absolutely,
I
it's gonna be a good one.
have a second house in Wildwood, which is only like 45 minutes away. So super easy for me. Made it last. Sure. Hopefully I'll be on that card. We'll see. Not sure of opponents yet, but I think this coming card could weigh in that. Who knows?
Yeah, for sure. Well, we're planning to go to the Atlantic City event. We were at the last one, which was a super cool event. So it'd be cool to run that back. Do you know if they're doing it at the same exact venue?
I think that's the plan. I don't know anything right now.
Yeah.
I believe the plan was to the first year to make contacts with venues and to repeat at venues. So a lot of these big venues, people don't know, they're very hard to book. And a lot of times you got to book them in advance, like big time advance. And with Robert taking over and shifting, maybe half of the events over the United States, I think it was harder for him than expected to be able to get these venues. And I think once we get them, we'll probably hold on to them.
That makes sense.
But plus, the venue was awesome.
Oh yeah, that was great. And then the athletes are comfortable there, and we know who we're working with, and the management at the venue and stuff. So
yeah,
be good.
Paul, I know you're pretty much all right hand lately, but would you ever consider pulling a left hand match?
Yes, and actually, so I've had some shoulder issues, both arms, and labrum tears from football days that have become worse and chronic. What I have noticed is my left, like years ago, my left strength wise was very much on par with my right, especially inside. Side pressure when I started in the conjugate method, the side pressure training. I found that I am lacking something this way, and I believe it's rotator cuff driven. I don't remember a specific injury that happened, but my side pressure from my right to left is grossly different right now. Like 20 to 25% different. Like so the hand, the cupping, the strength is all good. Bicep, great. Back pressure, great. So I just recently had another stem cell injection in my left shoulder. So I'm hoping during this football season to get it back up to speed, and I would love to take a left-handed match. I would love to. And I've had some offered to me. One at Mac, a couple at Mac actually, but not like in good conscience. Like I'm telling the promoters that listen, I need to get this thing back to where I'm comfortable with it. Yeah. To put it on a big stage. I think if all things go as planned, by next match, I think I should be able to close that gap between left and right.
For sure. We would love to have you on one of our cards. I know our our promotion's a little bit smaller, so we wouldn't be butthurt if you took like a Mac one. But
No, I
it,
don't care about that. I don't care about like that's something. It's not about the size of the promotion.
but yeah, once you're ready, let us know. We can set you up with any of the guys in the Northeast, like James Clark, Paul Cruz,
Yeah,
Phil Thanks. I know Storm's your teammate, so you probably wouldn't want to pull him.
nah, I won't post Storm. That's my guy.
Yeah. But that's awesome
Yeah.
that Storm's been back. Like I
Yes.
used to see him back in the day with those WL matches, and then
Did,
it's been great
did
he's
he
been
make it
back
up to
into
the
it.
Turtle Man or no?
No, he didn't. He
I know
yeah.
he's got a ton going on too. He's got a ton going on. Kids, two young ones, and another one on the way coming soon. So I'm just glad he's making a comeback.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean he's so good. He's
Yeah.
he's definitely a great puller. He's already been giving a lot of people trouble, so it's really
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. He's gifted. He's very, very naturally gifted, and he has an understanding of arm wrestling to go along with it. Super
Yeah.
smart. It's funny how people forget the WAL days and the level that some of the guys were on. But I have no doubt that in the next month or 2 months or 3 months, he's gonna be right back at the top.
Oh, for sure. Do you train with him often?
Pretty much every last training cycle, it was every week. So he's about 2 hours from me, and we were rotating weeks.
Gotcha.
I'll go to him on a Friday afternoon. He'll come to me on whatever day we can work. So some of them were bigger practices, some of them were small. But
Yeah.
I get a lot working with him because we have an understanding of each other, which is really important. Training partners, your training group is super important. But I think, getting to that next tier is really, really important to have a couple partners who you can work out with and treat your actual training as a workout, like sets, reps, and understanding where you need to work and having an understanding of, your training partner having an understanding of exactly what you need and being selfless enough to pull with two hands or use hands where you need it. Super important. So it's been, for me, a huge blessing to have him back. And
Sure.
we're hoping that, that it's going to be mutually beneficial.
Mhm. Yeah, I saw the practice. You, Nick, Storm, Andrew. I know I talked to Nick about hopefully going down with you guys sometime.
Yeah.
Obviously,
We love to
I
have you.
wouldn't I wouldn't be able to give you guys much, but it would still be a good time.
No, it's good. The way we've been doing things is really good, I think, for all of us. The
Hmm.
way we've been approaching it, especially when somebody's trying to peak for a match. It's not just beating each other up. It's not just ego pulling. It's like, all right, what do you need technically for this? And then
Hmm.
have a group of guys or a smaller group of guys of close strength that is willing to work with you to develop exactly what you need for a coming match.
Well,
To
I've
me,
noticed that's one of the big flaws in a lot of the way that people train is like they're the strongest guys at practice, so they just let everyone hit into them and they're just really slow because all they're doing is catching.
yep,
And no one wants to use two hands, and I'm like, dude, just ask people to use two hands, they'll do it.
yeah, yeah. And there's even an ego piece of that people have to get away from. Like
Hmm.
like if you're using two hands, it like I see it like a lot of what Devin's doing. I think is awesome with the two hand pulling,
Hmm.
but like we're not necessarily taking that approach that Devin needs, where he actually needs to be attempted to be pinned.
Yeah.
Sometimes that two hand pulling comes from the A side. I need you to stop me here.
Yeah.
And all I
Right.
need to do is hold it and work. And then if you eventually slowly let me win, like that, those finer points are like when it comes to like getting the exact details right for a match. It could be pinning pressure, it could be holding pressure, it could be static center of the table, it could be anything. But if you evaluate yourself and your opponent, you know where you need to work, and you got a handful of guys that's willing to train with you for specific spots, it's hugely beneficial.
For sure. We have a question in the chat for you, Paul. It is, what do you do differently to prep for a match once you get that call from the promoter? Is it a lot more strength training, or is it specifically geared towards your opponent?
So for me, depending on the match, like if I feel like, okay, this guy is a straight up powerhouse and I need to be stronger, um, I'm going to train my whole body, like the whole chain
Yeah.
that is involved in arm wrestling, to be as strong as it possibly can, to general like strength training focus. The certain core lifts that I think are important for arm wrestling, I think have to be in peak form when you're going into a match where you feel like you have to be stronger. The other piece is how you split your arm wrestling specific training, because like Hutchings makes a great point. You get stronger in the gym, you sharpen your tools at practice.
Hmm.
And I think I align with that to an extent. I think that you tailor your split, whatever you're doing, whether it be conjugate, whatever your choice of arm wrestling specific stuff, and you target one, two, maybe three components that have to be in peak form, and you focus on that arm wrestling specific stuff in the gym. But I also think that there is value in that two-handed training that is also going to make you stronger in specific finite positions. So I think it's a combination of get stronger in the gym. How much of that has to be total body structural strength? How much of that has to be arm wrestling specific strength? And then what do you need to do on the table to either execute what you plan to do in the match, or where do you have to work on the table to get stronger in actual positions holding a hand?
Mm-hmm. For sure. For like intermediate arm wrestlers, like beginner to intermediate, what is your recommendation for like how many times to pull? Should they be doing arm wrestling specific, or should they be doing general like bicep curls, benching, stuff like that? Like, what's your advice to them?
So let me just say, if I'm going to give advice, the scenario of the person that I'm giving it to, let's say this person already knows how to arm wrestle pretty well.
Hmm.
Um, and what most people in the arm wrestling community who get to a point where they know how to arm wrestle pretty well, I would say the majority of them are probably, their pain point is lacking general strength.
Yeah.
So the first thing I would say, like I'm just mainly going off like my guys, my newer arm wrestling guys. A lot of them are missing general functional strength in certain areas, like those arm wrestling specific chains. So like if you're doing your tailoring your lift for general strength as it applies to arm wrestling, I think the order of importance is lat strength. You have to have lat strength first. Your row is much stronger than your hammer curl or your supinated curl. So
Yeah.
get your lat connected. That means a lot of pull-ups, low rows, dumbbell rows, things like that. And what I always tell people is go heavy. Don't be scared to go heavy. Like if you're doing pull-ups, add some weight. If you can do 10 of them, you're not going heavy enough. Same thing with low rows, dumbbell rows. Don't be scared of the big dumbbells. Move them. Um, Then beyond that, you're going to need shoulder strength. You're going to need general delt strength. You're going to need a little bit of pec strength. You're going to need internal rotation. Train that stuff in the gym. Then you're going to need bicep a little bit for connectivity. I know Hutchings, a lot of people don't believe in bicep. I think you
Yeah.
need a little bit of it for connection.
Yeah.
You absolutely need it. And to me, it's not your regular gym, like let's strict curl stuff and everything else. It's more about heavyweight, hold it, control it through the range that you want to be in. Um, and then beyond that, the general focus arm wrestling stuff are pretty simple. You can train back pressure along with pronation. That's how you arm wrestle. Back pressure and pronation. We see all these lifts, these pronation lifts, and lift the weight off the floor, like strap over your thumb, all that good stuff. But if you've ever done it for a max effort, you realize that quite often your elbow flexors fail before your pronation does, depending on where you're at and where your pronation is. Train them together, get them in sync. You know, Like if you're failing this way before your pronator goes, it's going this way, you know? And then to me, a lot of new arm wrestlers are jumping straight into side pressure training when they don't have all of the other components.
Yeah.
You need pronation, you need cup, like first and foremost. Then you need back pressure. Then you need side pressure. But your side pressure is no good if you get stretched every time.
Yeah.
Hmm. I
So,
think a lot of people are scared to train side pressure, to be honest.
you know what's so wild about it? I never trained it. Like we're talking about 9 years of competition at a pretty high level, and I never trained it. And I told myself, this is my ace up my sleeve. I'm gonna hold it till I need it. I get my side pressure on the table and through general strength. And when I decided to go into the conjugate method and the side pressure training, I was worried about the same thing because I've had elbow problems like everybody else.
Yeah.
What's ironic about it is training side pressure 5 days a week and actually listening to Hutchins and pulling twice a week. I was worried about my elbow. And of course, I got soreness initially. But what was funny was as I got further into the split and everything, it got better. So there's a level of easing your way in. And once you're hitting those max efforts, the isometric stuff, it's I found it to be there's a healing aspect to it. So you're really conditioning it. So I don't think people should be afraid of it, but I think they should do it wisely.
Yeah.
Yeah, they shouldn't start by doing like 1 rep max or anything. Start with sets of like 5 to 10. And I agree, the isometric stuff, I tried those for the first time this summer, and I think it helps you get stronger and heal you and condition you all at the same time, which is
Yeah,
awesome.
ISOs are awesome. Hutchins said it 10 years from now, we're going to see people primarily focused on isometrics. And
Hmm.
maybe that'll be the case. You know what else is awesome? The speed aspect of the conjugate. When you add in quote unquote bobbly weights, where you add in like an elastic resistance along with a pulley system. And the bouncing movement, I really think is therapeutic.
Oh, for sure. And I love doing like when I'm doing back pressure pronation, sometimes throwing one on from the other side. So it's like even training a little bit of your side pressure or center
Yeah,
table, getting all of those different like aspects getting hit at the same time. It's
yeah,
super
and
interesting.
it's when you talk about like our advice to like an intermediate arm wrestler. Um, it's you can give generic advice, but once that person learns themselves, there's no better person to write the program for them than them.
Yes.
So it's I think a lot of people think that there's a magic program out there. I mean I've had hundreds and hundreds of requests for arm wrestling training. Um, don't have the time to do it, and especially not charge people for it. I don't, in good conscience, I would never be able to provide them what they need for their money. So I always decline it. I share a general strength with arm wrestling specific, uh, like movements, just very very basic, like pretty much what I followed at the beginning of my arm wrestling career. And I'll hand that to people. I'll send them to the email. Here's a basic split, but this is not what you will eventually need. This
Hmm.
is what can get you going. But until you understand where are your weak points, that's got to be for you to design and you to understand because nobody knows where your weak points are like you know. So I think for newer intermediate arm wrestlers, it's let's gather an understanding of general training, which I think has been great to like look at a ton of different people. I've been blessed to work with a ton of great arm wrestlers,
Yeah.
see what they do, and then take a piece, and apply it to what you do. There's no one right way.
Yeah.
100%, because everyone has different styles. Everyone's hands are different sizes, arm lengths. Like there's a lot of different things that everyone's made differently for arm
Yeah,
wrestling. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what the beauty of it is too is regardless of whatever tools you're given, like arm wrestling is a sport where there is always a way. You
Yeah.
know, like unless you just have the worst genetics on planet Earth and you're the 1% of people who just don't possess the capacity, which is 1% probably, The rest, the 99%, there's a path for success.
Mhm.
You gotta, number one, you gotta figure it out. And number two, you gotta have the consistency and diligence and no quit attitude to work through it. So if you got that mentality, your path is there somewhere. You just got to find it.
For
And the
sure.
longevity of the sport makes it so that you have opportunities. Because like,
Yep.
when we talked to Devin, one of the things he said is like, "You guys are still in your 20s. Your peak is until your 30s. Like, you guys get a long way to go."
Yeah. Well,
That's
I mean,
crazy that arm wrestling is like that.
yeah, I mean, like, I think maybe my physical peak was in my 30s. I
Mhm.
think like for arm wrestling driven strength. However, I'm not at my peak now and I'm 44. So they're the understanding of the anatomy and stuff and looking at guys like Hutchins, who truly believes that he has 10 more years, and I believe it too.
Yeah.
You and Hutchins 100% was not a better arm wrestler in his 40s than he is now. He is better now, and
Yeah.
he's 60. You know,
He's so impressive. I think it's a really important point that you brought up. I think a lot of people think there is that golden way, that one way to train. And of course, they're probably going to look at Devin because he is a really awesome arm wrestler. He's really great. And they look at who he trains and they're like, that's the best way to train. And no, it's not. Not for a beginner, not for intermediate. Like if you've been pulling for 30 years, however long he's been pulling and going for the number one spot in the world, that's the best way to train. But for these beginning guys, I think it really is important to gain all of this knowledge from the other guys. I think Todd Hutchings especially has a lot of great stuff you can
Mhm.
pull from and training methods. And I think it's important take all of those different things and you got to make it your own. Like it really is not a cookie cutter thing. Like even Caleb and I have differences in training that work for us. Like
yeah,
at the beginning, like my tendonitis was so awful and I couldn't do the same volume as him. And then I had to do more blood flow and more recovery. And so it's just like different, even between brothers, training methods is different. So
yep,
I think it's really important. Don't just look at the most popular arm wrestlers. Like gain knowledge through every even people you're training with at clubs and stuff and
right.
get the best way to train.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times people, the two people that that come up in discussion all the time are John Brzenk and Devin.
Yeah.
And both of those guys have presented a table focus. And I don't think that they're wrong in any capacity. I mean, like the
Yeah.
proof's in the pudding. But I also think that certain people are special, and we have to acknowledge that. We got to be real with ourselves. Like I like me as a human being genetically, I am not on that special end. So I cannot always say, okay, well, let me do what this guy's doing because that's the rule for success. No, those guys are the exception sometimes. You know, Devin has attributes that very few people on this planet have. You
Yeah.
know,
Mhm.
he also has an understanding of arm wrestling that very few people have. So does John. So some of us, we have to understand that they're not always the rule. They're possibly the exception. So, but I do think there's bits and pieces for sure of their approach that always should be applied.
Oh yeah, for sure. Just switching gears a little bit. What do you think of the last East versus West event and the collaboration with the Shaw Classic? What do you think about like Brian Shaw and more strongmen getting involved with arm wrestling?
I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome. I think um, the community is becoming more open minded to it. And you watch that card, and the guy who jumped out to me the most was Big Laws.
Mm,
Um, this guy's a good arm wrestler, dude. Like he's good.
He looked
he
good.
This
was
He
good.
looked
guy's
really good.
he moves well. Like that guy's going to be really good, And even seeing the Eddie Hall match, like he and Robert Overs, like if these guys apply anything to that, like any
Yeah.
level of commitment to this, they'll be good, you know. And some of them are already good, you know. And I think it's awesome that those guys, they can't be strongmen until they're 50. So, but they can be arm wrestlers until they're 60, you know? So getting them involved with their following and their fan base is huge. Like
Mhm.
there, I thought the Shaw Classic, the event ran so smooth. I thought all the technical stuff was great, you know, and I thought the matches were good, and I was entertained completely. So I think the partnership there is a very, very good thing.
Oh yeah, for sure. It was really entertaining. Like Eddie and Robert going at it, that actually became a pretty technical match. Like
Yes,
the way Eddie was able to make adjustments and then end up beating Robert was really cool.
yeah,
And
man. I'm
I
watching I'm watching these matches and thinking, man, like I like Eddie, I want Eddie to win, but like I can immediately when I see the tide turn, I can immediately feel like I want to root for the underdog now.
yeah,
And
Yeah,
like,
we have
that,
this innate desire to root for underdogs.
yeah, that match could have been a Robert Overs win
yeah,
for sure. It could have been. Like I'm looking at it, why are you hanging on?
yeah.
Why are you hanging on? Let go. Just
I
let go.
heard which one of them said like I think Eddie said it like we're not going to the straps. We're not going to do that. We're going to be men and hold on. It's like I don't know why they have that idea.
No, yeah, that's bad. It's good for the guy who wants you to hold on to him.
Yep.
It's great, and I mean, and I'm sure Eddie used that as a way to win the match. Like call this guy out. Now you're soft if you go to straps. Now go to straps. He don't want you to go to straps. He'll beat you there.
Hmm.
And there was one common denominator between Brian Shaw and Eddie Hall was their cornerman, Neil Pickup. I think especially at that level, the cornerman is so important.
Yes.
So like we actually could hear, we had the audio for the corner, which was awesome. I love that. But you could hear Neil like talking them up, giving
Mhm.
them different directions, and then immediately after they applied those changes and then ended up turning the tide and winning. So I thought
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. Super awesome. Those guys are so great for the sport. It's unbelievable. And I think people may be concerned that it's going to go, too much non-purist arm wrestling, but like I think there needs to be a healthy dose almost every card.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think as some of the matches for East vs West 20 in Switzerland got announced, it's pretty clear there's no strongmen on that card. I think it's
Yeah,
pretty clear that that one had a lot of strongmen because it was strongest arm on earth. So
it
I
was
think
situation. It was a collaboration. But what I hope we see moving forward is like one match like that per card if we can do it. And it may be harder to do it overseas, depending on who they can get and whatever. But like, I think guys like Leonidas need to come back. We need to
100%.
talk to him. And he's a good arm wrestler. He's a really good arm wrestler. Like, we need to keep going back to that well and giving them appropriate matches to develop.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with that because like Leonidas had an awesome match against John Brzenk. Like we were there in person in
Great.
Orlando, and oh my gosh, that was probably the best arm wrestling match I've ever seen. That was
Yep.
so cool. And then to
Yep.
see
Amazing.
John come back, and then you throw Leonidas against Devin lefty, and it just like that disheartens him a little bit. So you
A
like
little bit.
you do want to give him good matches, but maybe we'll see one in Atlantic City. What's your thought on the main event for Switzerland? Vitaly Lelettin versus Jerry Cataret. You have
I
Our
think
any
guy
opinions on that?
Jerry.
it's a match that has to happen. Has to happen. Right. I think it's a tricky match. It's a tricky match for Jerry. Um, I think some of these guys have followed the path that has been laid out for them in how to pull Jerry. I think it will be harder anatomically for Vitali to truly follow that path. You know, some of the shorter forearm guys being able to grab neutral or go low and have flat wrist side pressure into hand control. Vitali is really going to have to come down. And Also, it is harder to do that with a dumped wrist.
Yeah.
So I believe that there is a lane for Jerry, and I am super rooting for Jerry. And I think honestly, it's a must win for Jerry. It's a tricky one. It's a pressure one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's an awesome match, and it has to happen.
Yeah. He's definitely taking it on pretty short notice because we saw him at Mass States a
Yeah.
couple weeks ago, and he wasn't really training at that point. So he is taking it kind of on short notice. But if anyone could do it, I think he can.
Yes.
So I think a lot of people are underestimating him. I think he can win it.
Yeah.
But
I
Vitaly
definitely
is
think,
looking
yeah,
great.
Vitaly's the favorite, but Jerry does have a chance. Hopefully, I think we're gonna train with Jerry on Wednesday,
Good.
but his power is insane,
I
and
know.
if he can get fast and if he can get in his spot, like no one can really beat him.
Well, we got it. We got to see the strap.
Yes.
We
Yep.
can't go through another match with him not getting the strap. Like he's got to get the strap, one way or another. If he gets the strap and gets position, we are going to see something great because we know Valley in the past has had a hard time with having over rotation and somebody who can push. So we just have to get it to there. And now it's gonna. I'm super rooting for Jerry, and I believe he can pull it off. But I would say too that I mean most people, based off of recent information, are going to have Vitaly favored. But I do think that Jerry has that acid counter. He just has to sink it.
Yes. So we do have
Question
a
from the comments, yeah.
before we go to that question, I just want to say in all of this stuff, this drama that's been going on in arm wrestling, I've watched all your videos about it and I love the approach you've been taking. You've been super just like you want everyone to work together and I think that's an awesome view and you've been very just like supportive of the community. You haven't like attacked anyone and all this stuff. So I think you're a great example of how to handle stuff like this.
You know what's so funny about that is the comments will chew me up for I call me fence sitter and all this different stuff, and I'm like, come on, man, why do we want this tribalistic approach?
Yeah.
Like, why are we wanting people to pick sides and feud? And like for what? Like the ultimate thing is we were on a great trajectory and we had some stuff happen and stuff got weird. Regardless of who you think is at fault, arm wrestling will suffer if everyone feuds.
Yes.
So like people can say you're a fence sitter or you're being a politician. No. I'm okay with anybody thinking whatever they want to think, but genuinely, like I have my own opinions about stuff, but opinions are worthless in these situations.
Yeah.
Like it's about moving forward. It's about keeping people together. Like we need to keep the best under one roof, and we need to keep arm wrestling moving forward. And spending a lot of time dwelling on problems may get a lot of views on social media, but all those videos ultimately are distracting and detracting from the next event.
Yeah.
And we need to be focused on Vitaly and Jerry and an awesome card in Switzerland because that's what will propel arm wrestling.
For sure.
So speaking of a card that's like, I think it's before Switzerland. What do you think of the Georgia versus the world whole like organization that's been popping up?
Yeah, latest drama. So I don't get to watch as much arm wrestling content as I normally do, but I
Yeah.
usually watch it on my drive to work at about 5 a.m. And I check, the main content creators, and I mean, like we've seen competitive leagues in the past. High Five kicked off their first event, and they scheduled it on the same day as East versus West.
Yeah.
And I've said like there needs to be other leagues. There can't be just one league.
Yeah.
There is plenty of room for leagues to pop up. And a lot of the stuff ties into the whole idea of contracting. think contracts have pros and cons. But I do think it's important to know that the perceived best on the planet have a home base. Doesn't mean that there can't be other matches and other cards. I mean, as arm wrestling grows, the playing field grows, the arm wrestlers increase.
Yeah.
And high level arm wrestlers increase. And there are guys who need options. There are guys who need chances, who need shots. I've been there. You know, I think that competitive league are just fine. The specific scenario in which like GBW came about, I get like all the questioning of it. And I think a lot of that questioning is valid, but I don't think that competition is a bad thing. You know, I think there's plenty of room. The card is going to be awesome. You know, like the league or don't like the league, the card's awesome. You know, that said, I would hope that most arm wrestlers would continue, who are at the highest level, would continue to call East versus West their home base. Yeah. And the folks that are under contract, obviously, you know, that has to be home base. But there is no problem in having more events, in my opinion, and more options. And like we've got a lot of options in the U.S. You know, Mac is doing great. You know, the matches they put together is awesome. Like I love it. You know, I think it's a good thing, and I think it's great for getting guys opportunities to showcase themselves and potentially get a different call. So I think it's important. I'd love in the future to see that there some form of like farm league system, you know, where maybe matches aren't guaranteed, but there are certain promotions that are going to be watched because they're putting out high level matches. And if you do well, you could be auditioning without knowing it.
That's something that we've kind of thought of because, I mean, we've been putting on a couple local cards. Our next one's going to be a lot bigger than our last one. And I know East First West has said they're willing to like work with anybody. So we've even thought of like talking to them, being like, hey, if you guys want to support this, we could eventually become an East First West qualifier or something. And like,
Yep.
I know they're willing to work with people, and I really like the way they're going about that.
So that's
Same
an
with
top.
Mac, yeah.
We did the qualifiers for 2 years. And I was asked to kind of run that in the United States, which was a huge pain to try and organize and keep everybody happy because there's always problems.
Yeah.
But I think we kind of proved that the real qualifier system wasn't going to work over here because we gave out like $26,000 in prize money and a bunch of East versus West and King of the Table matches. And even in the second round of doing them, we really didn't get the expected and hoped for turnout from Western pullers. It worked in the East. They brought like high level people, especially the first year. But even the second year in the East wasn't quite as much. So maybe the true qualifier and guaranteed match isn't the formula. I don't know. Yeah. But I do think that the sanctioned events where we're saying like, okay, hey, we are going to evaluate this event as a whole, and we're going to take a look at one or two people. Yeah. And I know there's gray area in there. There's no like guarantee, but you know, if East versus West is willing to truly evaluate and say, hey, we're gonna snag somebody. I think a lot of it, it could be good to have East versus West have prelims too. We talked about that. I know I've heard Robert and Dexter repeat some of the conversations that we've had about it, but having like a free viewed prelim card, like what we've done in the past is the tournament winners pull their final match and the prelims. I think we could take it one step further, and we could have the prelims also be like 2 or 3 best of 3s or best of 5s.
Yeah.
Where the winner of that prelim, which, you know, was pulled from a sanctioned event, then maybe they get an opportunity. So you have, get noticed at a sanctioned event, pull a prelim match, win your way on. I don't know, just spitballing.
Oh yeah, I think that's a really good approach. And the way we're kind of thinking of it is like these events that we're doing like focused on the Northeast and just helping local talent, like
Yep.
get them opportunities, get
Yep.
them experience pulling super matches with a lot of people in there. And I think it's also not just about winning. It is a business thing as well. So when East Fish West is looking at pullers, how many are they really charismatic? Do they pull a lot of views in?
Yep.
Do and of course they have to be good arm wrestlers, but I think it's more than just are they a good arm wrestler? It's
Right.
it's everything else. So I think like developing these personalities and these arm wrestling like personalities in different locales, I think is would be really good for East Fish West.
I agree. I agree. Character development's everything. And I agree. You got to be able to like you got to be able to get yourself comfortable being in front of a camera too. Like you don't have to be great. You don't have to be Travis or anything. Anybody. You don't have to be Devin. But you be. I remember the old WAL days. Um, People always talked about how it's some of showmanship. But my experience with that was they never told you to be anything. They always just said, be the biggest version of you possibly could be. So whatever it is that is you, accentuate it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the best way to approach everything.
Oh yeah, I think that's really important because we don't want to have everyone be a Travis or everyone be a Devin. That gets old really quick.
Yeah.
But if there's just one of them and everyone has their different personality, I think that's
Yeah.
super important.
I mean, I
But
think we've even gotten to see like Levon have a big personality, or at least bigger, like having him do those interviews with that guy Drew, like
Yep.
those really personal ones. Like
Yep.
he's a funny guy.
Yeah.
Like I didn't really know that side of Levon. It was cool to be able to see that for even like guys like him.
Yeah, that's like we need those things. Like, and obviously we're at a really smaller scale right now. But like, we saw UFC do the Ultimate Fighter show. And that pushed UFC to the next level. It really did. I remember watching the first season of it and becoming a huge Michael Bisping fan and buying Michael Bisping t-shirts and rooting for this guy for like 8 years,
yeah,
just because I'm like,
Mhm.
I love this guy,
yeah,
and obviously we were not ready for a reality show, but just a glimpse into who people are. Like
Mhm.
even guys like, Ryan Bellinger, he went out and put an amazing match out there,
oh yeah,
with Alan Ford, tremendous match. And Ryan Bellinger to me is like the prime example of like a guy that people can get behind. Like if you know Ryan at all, and you know his story. I mean, it might not be crazy stuff. Like it's not like Devin being like special forces, and all this good stuff. But Ryan Bellinger has a really good story and a really good personality, and one that is identifiable for a lot of people. And he also is a savage and will die on the table. You pair those two things up, you understand who this guy is, and now all of a sudden, Ryan Bellinger has a cult following.
yeah,
But we got to get out there who Ryan Bellinger is.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I don't think everyone needs their own YouTube channel. And hopefully we get to a point where the arm wrestling leagues can do that sort of promotion. But I think for right now, as the sport is still growing, I do think it is really important to like grow your brand as an arm wrestler. Like that's how you get known. You could be the best arm wrestler, but you're in the middle of I don't know, Minnesota or something, and no one sees you. So you're probably not going to get matches.
Yep.
So it is important to grow your brand, whether it's through YouTube, Instagram, social, Facebook, whatever it is. I encourage everyone to do that. And like even if you do have a match, don't just rely on the promotion to promote it. Like you yourself take that upon yourself and be really creative and really push your matches. I think that's really important to get out there.
This is a thing that Storm and I talk about quite a bit. And Storm's been pushing a lot of content out lately. He's making a conscious effort. And that's the way you got to do it. Doesn't always have to be YouTube. It can take forever to build a YouTube following. But you already have your own warm market on Facebook and Instagram. You can build those platforms just the same.
Oh yeah.
And really is a lot of it is what you do in your regular life. And I talked with Storm and his wife, and she's got some great ideas on things of getting like our personal life out there. I'm in a tricky situation because I don't have like 2 minutes to rub together. But like I think it's really important because I use Storm as an example. Like Storm and I become good friends, and we become good friends based off of like mutual upbringings and stuff that people would never know about Storm. He's normally a reserved person, but the things that had brought Storm and I together as human beings is commonalities that most people wouldn't know. And those stories, and like you understood Storm's like upbringing and the nuances of his life, it make you like him more, and make you appreciate him more. And I think every arm wrestler has that same situation, but their own version of it.
Yeah. For sure.
Honestly, one of the things that we're trying to do is like get people to know about like we had Greg from Eastside Arm Wrestling on, and a lot of people from US don't really know about him, and we wanted to get people to start to get to know about all these different pullers.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. It's character development. And a lot of arm wrestlers, like, honestly, it's tough. Like, I've heard so many really good arm wrestlers say, like, I don't want to be a YouTube guy and blah, blah, blah. And I get it. But there's got to be scenarios too where people have an ability or a way or a platform to highlight who they are in general. And I think we're close to that with East versus West. I think that they're ready to invest some time and effort into the character development. We'll see how long it takes because they have so much on their plate. I can tell you, like, I'll send blessings to Robert Baxter right now because his life is far, far from easy at what he's dealing with. But I know that their intentions are to go that route. And I know that there's ways to do it. And sadly, like some of us don't have the time, means, or capability to do it unless somebody comes and kind of does it for us. Reality television can be done on your own, but it's much easier when you got a camera guy.
Yeah.
So that's why those content creators who get to a high level have camera and content guys.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, we have a tiny channel, and I can tell you, it's a lot of work sometimes, like even on a small scale. The amount of time and effort you have to put in planning, like it's more than you'd think.
That's what kills me. People like put more content out, and I'm like, guys, I only sleep 3 hours anyway. Like, and then it's like, well, why don't you just grow your YouTube channel, make some money? And I'm like, man, I don't know how many subscribers I got, but I can tell you I've made no money. And I've gotten demonetized throughout the process and remonetized. And there is never, if you're doing it for money, it is going to be a hard road. You've got to do something else, something bigger. Like the right reason is not necessarily money because it takes a long time to make it financially beneficial for how much time it takes to record a video, upload it, and put it out or edit it. You're never going to get an ROI on that. Like, especially starting out. It's got to be a slow build and you got to be doing it for other reasons.
Yeah, for sure. We don't want to keep you too much longer, but we'll just end with this. What like got you into arm wrestling? Like who were some of the arm wrestlers that you was it John Brzenk? Like what got you started? And like who was your favorite arm wrestler like when you first started?
Game of Arms got me started.
Game of Arms, okay.
I got in right on that moment. And I remember watching it at our old house, sitting in the bed with my wife. Was this like addicted, And my wife's like, "Get this shit off the TV. What's wrong with you?" And I binged the whole season. And I'm watching it, and she's putting headphones on. She don't want to see it. And I remember like midway through the season, I'm like, "Honey, like I think I want to try this out. I cannot believe that these people are this strong, and that I cannot beat at least some of these guys." I think I remember thinking like Mike Solaris, there's no way I can't beat that guy in arm wrestling.
Yeah.
And it sparked this like little Google research and the Northeast board and finding a tournament. And that's how it went. And beyond that, the learning process developed really, really quickly. I met Tim Bresnan and Ron
Yeah.
Klemba at my second tournament, and drove my ass all the way up there to practice with them for a couple weeks back to back, and I was addicted. And at that point, those were the people where I was looking at. Like, I knew who the main arm wrestlers were and everything,
Yeah.
but those were my motivators, the people who I had like arm's reach with. And then it snowballed. You know, once you get bit by the bug, you're bit.
Oh yeah. When was that when you first started?
Oh, what was that? The tail end of 2015.
Okay.
Tail end of it. Yeah.
So you've been
Yeah.
going for about 10 years strong?
Yes, I guess I'm right around the 10-year mark. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
And you
feels like
already
I still feel like a new guy. I tell people all the time, I still feel like a new guy. People are like, oh, you've been doing it a long time. And I'm like, it doesn't feel like that to me because I train with so many guys who've been doing it for so much longer than me. You know?
I mean, Ron Klemba's a great example of that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
He did win on Friday. He did win.
excellent, man. Send High Chief my love, man. Send him love.
and you came from like a strength and football background, right?
Yeah, and like people, I'll say strength background, but really it's a football driven strength training approach. And it's what I went to school for. I've got a bachelor's in exercise science and a master's in exercise physiology. And I did that just because I was a meathead and I like to play football.
Yeah.
And then you go right into coaching and you run strength programs right away. And I heavily value strength training in all sports. So I never competitive power lifted or anything like that. However, I trained like an absolute lunatic my entire life.
Yeah.
So I had that base and that scientific understanding of training, but I never competed at it. It was mainly just pushing kids to be better and then competing with them until I can no longer compete with them.
Yeah. That's awesome. So thanks so much for taking the time. I know you're a super busy guy, so super
Hmm.
appreciate it. Are there any final things you want to say to the arm wrestling community?
Well, first I want to say to you guys, thank you for everything you do, because ultimately it's underappreciated. There's plenty of people that do appreciate it, but it's never going to be fully appreciated. The time that you put in to developing content and pushing a positive message to the arm wrestling community is invaluable. And the more people to do that, the better. So, like, hats off to you. Talk about like all the hard work and the time that goes into it. Like, you're doing it for the right reason. So, like, stay strong. You know what I mean? And I think what you're doing is awesome. The community, I love the community, even when things are ugly, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, my message to community is like, you you can think what you want, but put out positive energy and good things will happen. So let's stay positive. Let's focus on the future, and let's grow together.
Let's do it. Thanks so much,
Love
Paul.
it.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks,
Captain
Paul.
America.